Hello, my IBMOR brothers, back again. Now, this video is going to have an odd title. In fact, it's going to be one of my rare MGTOW videos on this particular channel. If anybody has ever read or listened to Herman Melville's Bartleby the Scrivener, you kind of have an idea of where I'm going with this. Now, what does Bartleby the Scrivener and Alcoholics Anonymous have to do with each other? That leads to the explanation of what MGTOW is and also why MGTOWs complain about women. Now, this is in relation to a comment that Alan Roger Curry left on one of Obsidian's videos. And there was a back and forth, and we know Obsidian had a back and forth with Alan, and I interjected a little bit, and we were talking about the MGTOW movement, or philosophy, or however it's been described over the numerous years, I think the last 4 or 5 years, how it has been described in various forms. And ARC actually mentioned that he actually agreed with some of the tenets of what MGTOW stood for. But he didn't understand why MGTOWs continuously complain about women, or continue to tell their stories about women woes or comment on women. It's a fair question, but it's also something I kind of answered like 3 or 4 years ago in another video. I may link that in the description. Now, MGTOW as a philosophy, as a group, serves basically the same purpose as Alcoholics Anonymous. For men, not all, for men that have had issues with women and have had issues with the system, the gynocracy system that has surrounded us, that has formed over the last 50, 60 years, to the point where it's now being oppressive. And as with Alcoholics Anonymous and the function that it serves, nobody tells an alcoholic or a recovering alcoholic that he shouldn't talk about his sobriety or alcohol continuously. In fact, that's part of the therapy or the magic of Alcoholics Anonymous. It's a constant reminder of where you were and where you are now. And just like the theme of Alcoholics Anonymous is a very, very famous meme with MGTOW. Very famous theme that mirrors exactly what alcoholics and Alcoholics Anonymous say continuously. On Alcoholics Anonymous, they say you're one drink away from being an alcoholic again. In MGTOW, the famous meme that goes around, has been going around for the last 5 years, is that you're one blowjob away from being blue pill again, from being a blue pill beta again. Strange how eerily similar these two movements are. Alcoholics Anonymous is there to help alcoholics or help men get over their dependency and their addiction to alcohol and the negative reactions it causes in their lives. MGTOW men as a movement, as a philosophy, is there as a constant reminder of your addiction to women and the pain that addiction has caused you, and to remind you that you have to be ever vigilant within your soul and your psyche, that you don't fall back to your blue pill ways, lest you start the cycle all over again. Now, unlike Alcoholics Anonymous, that have you abstain from having alcohol or drinking alcohol, under very few circumstances can a man or a MGTOW do that in the real world. If he's in the real world, he's got to interact with women, whether he's having sex with them or not. And by just like a alcoholic being in a bar constantly, the lure of alcohol will overwhelm him if he doesn't get away. MGTOWs don't have that luxury of being able to completely cut women off from their lives. They don't have the constant pressure of the outside world or the blue pill world shaming them and actually trying to get them to engage back with the matrix. So the MGTOW philosophy, as a philosophy, tries to get you to walk that path to where you can actually but actually engage with women responsibly, so that you don't get caught up in the matrix, that you don't get caught back up in the gynocentric legal system that can actually do you damage. So you'll be able to navigate this gynocentric environment that you live in the West as safely as possible. And the constant MGTOW message and listening to a MGTOW video is like going to an AA meeting for an alcoholic or a recovering alcoholic, to remind you that you are a recovering pussy beggar, as Stardust used to say. A MGTOW is a recovering pussy addict, a recovering female addict, a recovering beta trying to find his manhood. Now, while most MGTOWs still complain from time to time about women in their videos, the majority of that goes on is mostly from men that are newly entered into the AA, like the guy that didn't have his first chip, that's still angry or still upset by having his illusions shattered. And a lot of the complaining that people get upset about on Reddit, on YouTube, and other places is that they see these guys that newly in that still haven't come to grips with the full MGTOW message and the lifestyle vent, and vent sometimes vehemently and sometimes uncouth language in a space where they're supposed to vent. And a lot of people that disagree with the message, that disagree with the philosophy, take that venting and take that message and then label it as complaining. And they label the whole philosophy or the whole movement as these group of guys that complain about women. They also just like they complain about the guys that have reached the level 4 that don't engage with women at all, the MGTOW monks. And they label these guys as crazy from abstaining or not wanting to be around women. Go figure. But to answer ARC's question, that's what's going on when you hear MGTOWs complain about women. It is that you have to have that constant reminder lest you fall back. Even if you have a 50-year chip, you're going to see an alcoholic, a recovering alcoholic, get on the stage, talk about his recovery, talk about his constant battle with the urge to drink alcohol, or the environment that's around him that urges him to drink alcohol. It never goes away, especially that what men go through when they have to withdraw or pull back from women is you're not fighting an addiction, you're fighting a biological urge. And the message has to be constantly in your ear and constantly in your head, such that you constantly remind yourself of what happened to you, what could happen to you, and how you have to be on guard lest it will happen to you. But there's that. Now we're going to get to MGTOW as a political philosophy. That's where Bartleby the Scrivener comes in. The famous line from Bartleby the Scrivener, who was the ultimate Refusenik. He refused to engage with the modern work life and the abuses that the new capitalist society was bringing upon him and the rest of the world. And at one point, he just got sick of it. And his answer to his employer at every stage was, "I would prefer not to." That was a famous line from Bartleby the Scrivener. And it has represented a lot of Refusenik movements over the years. Gandhi's India, Martin Luther King's civil rights movement. It is personal and civil disobedience by not engaging at all. And MGTOWs have actually put that feeling or that spirit on their backs and said that rather than engaging with a system that abuses me or a group of women that abuse me, I simply would prefer not to. And it's not the complaining about women that get people. It's not the stuff that they say about women that get people. The underlying fact is that at the end of the day, what MGTOW represents is I would prefer not to. I would prefer not to contribute to a society in a manner that's going to be damaging to me. I would prefer not to engage in an environment that's unhealthy to me. I would prefer not to man up and marry a woman. I mean, there's other words I could actually use that has 50 bodies on her vagina, even though that is what society is built on. The backs and the dead bodies of beta males, so-called beta males, that keep the society going. The plow horses of civilization. The plow horse that refuses the carrot that's in front of his nose and ignores the stick that's being whacked on the back of his back and his buttocks to get him to pull the plow, which is the message that women actually hear and the society and the government actually hear. And as in the story of Bartleby the Scrivener, even unto his very death, when his voice was so weak that it was barely a raspy whisper, he said, I would prefer not to. That is the message of MGTOW. That is the dangerous part of MGTOW. If enough men listen to the message and said they would prefer not to take a shitty deal that society and women are actually giving them, what is going to happen to the structure of society? And even faced with the imminent collapse of society, if this philosophy goes forward and nothing is done to change the environment, what you'll probably hear MGTOWs do, sitting down, wrapped up, emaciated, in a raspy voice, you're going to hear every MGTOW say, I would prefer not to. With that, that's all I got for today. This is BGS out.